Hey guys, what's going on? My name is WTF. Welcome to another episode of the Game Report. And before we get to the news, give me just a second and let me apologize to long-term audience members of the show for not fully fleshing out last week's episode. I know you only got one video last week, and that was the news video. And that's because I had originally filmed the topic of the week last week and also the retrospective on Chrysalis. However, I was unsatisfied with the end result of those videos and I wanted to redo them. I just wasn't feeling well last week, to be honest with you, when filming for those came up. Also, I had to reinstall Sony Vegas. For some reason it kept crashing, and I had to do a fresh install for Vegas. So sorry so much, guys, that those videos didn't make it out to you. We're going to include them on this episode, of course. So with that being said, don't forget that you can get the full show over at patreon.com/DandoTV every Thursday, 1 week early before it posts here on YouTube. And I love you guys so much for those that have supported the show. Today's topic of the week will be Call of Duty World War II. Will I buy it, and can I trust Activision to make it? And our retrospective, of course, is going to be over Chrysalis. But first, in this segment, it's the news you care about. Let's get started. And as always, guys, the news is brought to you by the Patreon producers of the show. I want to thank a big shout out to Own Dizzle, Tech Gladiator, and Air-11. You guys keep continuing to support the show, and I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Love your faces. Thank you so much, guys. Now, by the time this episode airs on YouTube, the day of recording is on a Wednesday. I have not heard any of the Microsoft announcement stuff that's supposed to be coming up this weekend yet. That will actually be released the next week, the following week. So I know that there's probably relevant Xbox news, plenty of Scorpio stuff to talk about, but I've just not heard it yet. Let's start off talking about Atlus, YouTube, and Persona 5. Yesterday, Atlus warned Persona 5 players that if they show gameplay footage after a certain point in the game, Atlus will go after their channels with copyright claims and copyright strikes. While some streamers aren't surprised by this policy, they've reacted with frustration and what they feel are measures that will negatively impact their channels. Atlus USA posted a note to streamers on their website yesterday that implied that copyright strikes will be coming for anyone who streams Persona 5 past the in-game date of 7/7. They in fact highly recommend you don't do this, in all caps. The game also blocks the PlayStation 4's native sharing features for videos and screen caps. The reaction from streamers was vocal and very negative. Atlus has historically had a draconian approach to streaming and Let's Plays. After the release of Persona 4 Dancing All Night, the developer would hit even very small channels with copyright strikes. Elliot Gardy, who used to stream and do Let's Plays with a friend, had his channel put out of commission for 6 months because of such a strike. When a YouTube channel has a copyright strike against it, the owner will be unable to perform certain actions like uploading a video that's over 15 minutes long, live streams, and things like that. Streams and Let's Plays exist in a legal gray area where they are on the whims of publishers and developers. While streamers and Let's Players are aware of this risk, some say they feel that their work benefits developers and that it'd make no sense for publishers like Atlus to go after them. I, of course, am one of those people. I think this is a bad decision on Atlus's part. And Atlus says, even in the thing, hey, don't blame us, blame our master company, Sega, the masters in Japan. Because they're the ones that, pulls all the strings. And I can honestly believe that it comes from Japan, because we see the way Nintendo handles copyright claims here on YouTube and things like that. So I can see this backward way of thinking coming from Japan. But hey, stream it at your own risk. I've heard of one channel already receiving a copyright strike. So just throwing that out there. It was mentioned on actually the Jim Sterling show. So just letting you know that that's a thing. So be careful when it comes to your livelihood and your streaming and things like that here on the platform. But I would definitely make some videos towards Atlus and saying fuck you. And how long is this going to last? How long is this embargo on not being able to stream past a certain point going to last? Is it always going to last? Because, and how well is it going to be enforced? That's another thing, you know? Like, is it going to be enforced evenly? If everybody does it, how are you going to? I mean, and if let's just say for a second that people with outcry start streaming the game past this, and a bunch of people, and all of them get copyright strike. How well is that going to sell in the future? Because you got to think, Persona 5 is already a niche title. Yes, it sells well, and it does well here because the fine people of Atlus are behind it. But you got to think also that can come back around and hurt. I can't think of one experience where streamers were told no, that it actually benefited the game maker or publisher. Nintendo, of course, with their backwards thinking of copyright strikes and copyright protection, they didn't sell very many Wii U's, I can tell you that. No matter how good the games were, there wasn't nobody on the internet talking about them except for those whitelisted by Nintendo themselves. So I don't think that this is going to last too long, guys. I think that Atlus will eventually cave. That's just my opinion on the matter. And as I said a couple of weeks ago, guys, Mass Effect Andromeda is going to try to start fixing things with the game. The internet's reaction to Mass Effect Andromeda has been overwhelmingly negative. Whether the game's pitiful user ratings on review sites are actually representative of what most players think is a question for another day, but it's fair to say that the game had more than a few technical issues at launch. Animation glitches, frame rate drops, and other bugs have marred the launch window, while general complaints about gameplay oddities have also been frequent. Things got so bad that BioWare promised an update on support last week. Today, we have the details on the patch and planned future additions to the game. Coming this Thursday is a patch that addresses technical fixes like crashes and improves performance, and also adds the following tweaks to gameplay and systems, which allows you to skip ahead when traveling between planets in the galaxy map, increasing the inventory limits, improving the appearance of eyes for humans and Asari characters, because, you know, dead eyes are just a thing with memes just everywhere. Just saying. They're also going to be decreasing the cost of remnant decryption keys and making them more accessible at merchants, improving localized voice over lip sync, fixing the rider's movements when running in a zigzag pattern, and improving matchmaking and latency in the multiplayer. An exhaustive set of patch notes is available at BioWare's site. Following Thursday's release, BioWare says its rollout a number of additional patches to improve several areas of the game. Those include a deeper character creation tool, fixes for character appearances and hair modeling, improved male romance options for Scout Ryder, and better conversations with trans character Ainley Abrams. That final update is a welcome one. Abrams' dialogue has been the source of criticism in recent weeks. Those updates will also come with the performance and stability fixes, and BioWare says it's looking at adding more cosmetic items to single player for free. So these updates will hopefully go a way to improving the overall experience for fans of the series, but whether they'll do enough to overcome the game's structural and narrative shortcomings is another question. And one thing that I've been asking myself is, with this already bubbling out beyond the release window, like people are already finished and beaten the game, is it enough to bring them back for a second playthrough? I mean, this is why it's so important, because I can't see. I'm glad BioWare is fixing the game. I'm glad EA is fixing the game, but at the same time, I've got to be asking myself, is it too late for those who've already finished the game? And you're not going to sell very many copies beyond that initial window. I mean, it'll continue to sell, no doubt about it, but the largest chunk of those sales come within the first few weeks. So, is it a little too late? Or are we just going to have to wait for a whole new Mass Effect game, I don't know, 10 years from now? I'm no expert on that front, but it does make me wonder how that actually works with how many return player bases do they have. to play the story a second time to see what they've changed. I know I'm looking forward to the story stuff that they inject into Final Fantasy 15, giving me another reason to play. But are they going to actually inject new story stuff into Andromeda, or just fix up what's already there? Anyway, guys, all that's just one man's opinion, and remember that you can always leave a comment below. Now, thank you guys for watching this segment of the show. Let's move on to the topic of the week. Hey guys, that's going to do it for me on today's episode, or on this week's episode of the Game Report. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe on all of our videos. Matter of fact, if you watch these piecemeal, go back and give those videos a thumbs up. And if you watch this one, of course, in its entirety, give it a thumbs up as well. Trying to upvote these videos to the top so that we get noticed and we can bring a bigger audience to our little corner of the internet. Until next time, guys, remember that I love your face, and we'll catch you next time. Have a good one.